Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025 edition of Trading Trends Stock Edition. Coming at you at NFL kickoff eve here, rivalry week. Come back to the rodeo, Eagles, Cowboys. We'll get our banner, although the players won't be on the field because they say that's last year's business. So it's important to be with trends that are, right now's business. So we'll take a look at some stuff. I love doing the stock edition. There's some crazy things that we see here. Also, I love when some of the year-over-year leaders on some of the worst weeks ever. To me, that screams most of the time opportunity. Let's see if there's something in it for y'all. If you like what I'm doing here, hit subscribe and stuff, and please, put tickers in or whatever it is. I can take a look at it and chart it out. Today's tape, like I said, we're doing the single stocks edition, all about Google. Google pulled XLC Communications to new all-time highs today, itself to new all-time highs on the antitrust avoidance news. So it added 9% to an already massive company. We're also going to take a look at HIMS, which has been a little bit out of the spotlight last I checked, but today a big day, up 7%. And Apple, a big 3.5%. Like I said, the catch-up trades is where people are going into, where things used to be less rotated into, less positioned. Like Apple used to be a joke name, and now up 3.5%. The stock looking quite good. We'll take a look at the chart. And then Dollar Tree and Rocket Lab absolutely got smashed today. We'll see how big moves. Dollar Tree got hit hard, a 4 standard deviation move, and a big move as well, about 2.5 to 3 standard deviation moves lower for Rocket Lab, 11% move lower. So let's see if that's an opportunity for you. It is on the year-over-year list, top 3 stocks you want to own from last September through today. So let's take a look at all this good stuff. Yes, I am getting ready for the tomorrow. I'm very excited. It is probably the best part about fall, I guess, for me. I'm not really a big pumpkin spice person, but tomorrow, ooh la la, 820. I'm very excited to see Saquon average 6 yards a carry again. I hope you remember me talking about the show all last year. Real fast. So SPY adds 50 bips today. We'll take a look. Tesla almost 1.5%. Stock looks good. Still holding that crucial 320 mark here at 334 close. Google will take a closer look at, but up 9%. Stock looks tremendous. Obviously, new all-time highs. Apple, a big move, almost 4%. We'll chart it. Palantir down 1%, almost 1.5%. It's down to 155 after the highs earlier, but still a remarkable stock. A little bit of bloom off the rose. We won't take a look at it today. It is not on our top 3 list of year-over-year winners. Broadcom up 1.5%. I think their earnings are soon. And CRM, wow, if that's things up, I can't even imagine how much there is truth behind what I'm saying, that there is a catch-up trades everywhere. CRM, a joke of a stock, and absolutely, just overvalued going into the whole AI recalculation of those stocks affected. And you've seen like Adobe, CRM, some of the stocks really that got punished from the new AI evaluation, if you will. But today, CRM up 1.4%. So as we go to the intraday chart, this is SPY. We opened here. Interesting tape, but we opened up at 643. I'm rounding here in SPY, and then we went as high as 644, which is our 200 bar moving average. I'm using this. Each bar is 30 minutes. So this is my, if I was a day trader, this is my short-term time frame cap on. And 644 was our ceiling. And then we started trading ugly around noon. I would say we started to give away gains here on that VWAP was starting to look heavy overhead, 642.70. And then really it's interesting. We started to trough at 230. We hit as low as 640 half. And then really nice bullishness. At 3:30 p.m., I believe there was Fed news, something about somewhat or other. I don't really pay attention to the headlines. But at the end of the day, really the 3:30 close, like I said, obviously today maybe idiosyncratic or whatever it was about the news, but we've been seeing nice closes for the S&P for SPY. There have been more times than not folks upset that the bell rang because they ran out of time to buy, versus say, oh, I wish I could sell. Obviously, that's emblematic and what's reminiscent of all-time high market. So at the 330 bar, we went from 641 all the way to basically 644 in one fell swoop in 30 minutes, and they got right back to that 200 bar moving average, which ironically was where we were coming off of the last day of August. If you remember at that close, we had a VWAP of 645, and now it's like right our overhead. As I zoom out here, that was just the day in the life. As I zoom out, we are going to the charts. To me, the level, like I said yesterday in the ETF edition, the levels to me are very clean. I think we continue to straddle and hug that 640 level, right where we were basically before today's open in SPY for another 2 weeks or so, with somewhat, I want to say, downward bias, but just not really going to the ceiling. Trees don't grow to the sky type belief. But your upside level would probably be now somewhere probably to that 651 to 654 level. It should they want to get this higher to the upside, I would say that's where the market probably hits its head. And to the downside, if that downward bias does pick up, yeah, it looks like there's a date with, if it gets aggressive, probably by that 628 mark. So like these levels here are very clean. I think the S&P or SPY under 641, under 640 rather, keep it clean, is a great pickup. Short-term gains of about 10 points, but that's probably coming more so like in early October. Again, the all-time highs were hit right there on August 28th. We'll see. We'll chop along, like I said, around 640. I just would personally chase things here. Let's see if there's opportunities in the single stock land. I think there very well might be. Let's see. All right. So the first one we're going to look at is Google. So don't have to break up. YouTube and all that apparently was the news. A big move here, up 9%. Hasn't had a candle like this in a long time. Look at the Bollinger band outside closes. Not that many, especially when the entire candle gaps up and away. This is the closest I would have here on December 11th, and it was overbought then as well. This has been a hot name lately. Honestly, I remember before they were joking. This was a joke with their whole AI strategy. Folks thought they were really in the dark, and really this thing's been kind of standing room only to buy since July 21st. Really a nice move here, all-time highs. I'm saying all standing room only to buy because of the RSI holding largely above 70 since July 21st, and we're September 3rd. So a great looking chart. I remember before saying don't count a champ like this out with the whole AI thing. This was an easier let me zoom out 2 years when this was really a laughing stock. Even this is I'd really have to even go back. Yeah, maybe I'm really dating it. It was not really a great looking stock in March of this year, back when it was 140, and now here we are at 230. So as I look back here, full valuation for me on this, I mean, today was absolutely crazy. I was going to say 215 to 220. Obviously, if the news was expected, I would not personally, like I said, chase this right here, right now. But XLC all-time highs, Google all-time highs, Meta looks great. But I still think this is not crazy to me if this has a pullback, especially with a macro pullback. If the market was not to be chased by investors, I think this has a nice pullback to 205 to 210 over the next 2 weeks or so. But one of the things I will say that maybe poo-poos on what I just said, this has an 83 RSI, which is the highest the Google's had all year, as well as today. The news was announced late last night. The stock gapped up and continued to go up throughout the day. So with the news known, the folks throughout the day were saying, wait a second, this company is even worth even more. And it closed higher above VWAP, which is impressive, with momentum gained as the day continued. And 83 RSI is astounding. So the elevator, and look at it, it closed, like I said, it touched 231.25 on a $9 range and absolutely at the tippy top. So it probably goes a little bit higher short term, maybe at 235, 240, I'm not sure. But in about 2 weeks-ish or so time, I think it does pull back to 205, 210, and that'll be your entry into an absolute superstar, new all-time highs, Google. Next one, I haven't looked at this in quite a while, Him and Hers. I know this is a very, very, very popular stock. A big day, up 7% for HIMS. So this thing was really, really hot when everyone was just cracked out trading it back in February. If you remember, this thing hit all the way to $73. And it was still hot just up until, really, really hot up until the end of July. It still hit $70. And then now it's a little bit of a relative strength breakdown. Don't like seeing this. The 200-day moving average, really an important test. It is at 41.12. A big day today that helped to give it a little bit of breathing room, but it's really gotten sideways. And the last earnings report was August 4th, and not really super positively received. It was down 5.5% that day. Right here, a nice day. Maybe has a little bit of a move again towards about 46, but I wouldn't chase this here. To me, the momentum looks a little bit out of this one. It looks like it wants to maybe flirt with the 200-day a little bit more. I wouldn't be shocked if it sees a 40 handle, which is below 41, which would be a break of the 200-day. And that would be the first time HIMS has done that since April. And also, it's been sub 50 RSI trading since August 4th. So this is now 1 month of just going lower. So it's nice to see that 40 hold. Something tells me over the 2 weeks upcoming it breaks. Next, Apple, a big move today for Apple, 3.5%. This has had a big recovery, actually, since the dividend was paid out, just ironically, coincidentally, on August 8th. A beautiful move here, entered overbought behavior the same day at 74 RSI. Really a different tale of the tape since August 8th in this stock. Right when it closed above that 200-day, 221, just a simple, moving system above that. And the 200-day started to curl higher just 2 days after that. And then, it tested you a little bit. It went all the way as high as 235 and then dipped all the way to 224. You were still in if you got in on that 221 entry above the 200-day moving average. And today, a nice move to all the way to 238. Now, what does the chart say to us? So I think it has a nice 2 weeks. I would like pickups here around 226, though. So for me, full valuation, to be very honest, is 238. Even if you get some volatility expansion, this crawls up a little bit more, maybe 240 tops, and that's a nice, 6-month high going back to March, and it's had above 50 RSI trading since August 6th. So nice, decent trading in Apple. Similar system, that would get you in Apple. I would get you probably out of HIMS very soon once it starts to flirt with that 200 moving average if it closes below 41. So similar, Apple line here in the sand with the 200-day starting to pick up now is 221. Very important for that to hold. I think it has more bullishness, like I said, over the next 2 weeks, but some zigs and zags with a ceiling of about 240. So maybe tomorrow it fills that gap, or not tomorrow, in the next couple of days, it goes to 233, 235, 233, and then back towards 240, and then it probably hugs closer to 230. But the 200 moving average looks to be in place holding, and if that's the case, one of the largest constituents for SPY, that's a good backdrop for the market. Okie dokie, artichoke was what I was pronouncing that. Okay, let's look at the losers. They were not all green today. Dollar Tree got absolutely handled. This stock this is different from, I believe the other Dollar Tree or the other dollar store is absolutely a different scenario. But we're looking at this one, a big move lower here. It's actually a very interesting chart. So this peaked just very recently, did Dollar Tree, and for those who don't know, Dollar Tree sells things that usually cost $1. Although I think because of the inflation one, I think it's like $4 now, some things, or $5. But this is a $23 billion company on $18 billion revenue. A big, ugly day today. I'm guessing higher costs and higher expenses and less revenue. But the earnings was today. These guys peaked at highs August 8th. There was, like I said, Apple became a buy on August 8th. Google really started to get his legs underneath it then, especially too. And then they rotate out of a name like this right on the highs. You got a little bit of a bearish. It's a 69 RSI at highs. I don't love to see that. You like to see at least where it was prior, right? So 76 would have been nice. And then quickly, as soon as I see that, just calculus comes in and I say, this could visit 113 very quickly. And it had touched 118 that day. And of course, it does that literally 2 days later. And then now an ugly, ugly candle. I think the floor on this is surprising. They really took, so this hit 98 today, and then they closed it at 102. So a little bit of a scoop off the bottom. Stock's been incredible since April, honestly. Same thing, simple breakout or a simple system that would trade above a 200-day moving average. And it really started happening right around tax day here in mid-April when it closed above the $77. And if you want to be more patient, look at the RSI trading as well in terms of above 50 since April. And then really the buck started to give way just a couple of days ago at 113 spot, started to give way and it started to become the ceiling instead of the floor. This thing really went wayward. It was like they were sniffing the earnings, and now it's got a 29 RSI oversold for the first time since March 12th. The 52-week lows back from November of last year at 60. And again, the highs were at 118. So basically a 2x, 60 to 120. So now what? Looks like an ugly reaction, obviously, to earnings. It's going to take time for this to get back to 112. We're 10 points or so from here, 10%. But I think it does. They probably didn't have great things to say about the consumer Either way, this obviously isn't Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren did hit an all-time high today, so it's not all of retail that's going to hell in the wastebasket. This looks like I do think it gets to 112. You're going to have to be a little bit patient, probably closer to like month end. So if you have a little bit of risk, I don't know how liquid the options markets are, but possibly like a 102, 112, like that $10 cost. But I have to see what it would cost and the liquidity of it. Or you can just buy the straight, maybe the 100 call, see what that's worth. But this one looks like it might come. I think it'll come back. It's going to take some time, maybe a couple of weeks. But Dollar Tree hit very hard today. This name, Bruker. Whoops. Hold the phone. Here we go. Bruker Corp. These guys are. Hold on. The reason why it's on my radar is had a multiple Sigma move lower today and all the way to 52-week lows. These are in the life sciences, which we don't pay an extraordinary amount to, but they're more so on the tool side, scientific instruments and things like that. They're a $5 billion company on $3 billion revenue. Healthcare has not been a place to be. You got to really be careful of this. These guys peaked last September at $73, and my God, today $29, down 12% today. I don't even think there was earnings. Earnings was last month. So I don't even know what happened to these guys, but 52-week low on, not a massive volume as they used to have, but the 200-day moving average, top left of your screen to the bottom right over here at 45. This, I think, has a bad week and a half continuing from this, and I think probably maybe a little bit more to go, like $28. It hit as low as $28.60, and then they bought it. I do think this probably maybe goes another handle lower to about $28. I don't see it bullish for the next week and a half. But new 52-week lows for that group. And then next, Rocket Lab, a horrible day for Rocket Lab. We'll take a look, just a little bit of a teaser. Rocket Lab is on our list of top 3 stocks of the past year. Just common sense. The monkey tells you you want to own that. Rocket Lab, though, today down 11.7%. What's happening? We'll just do it here now instead of at the end, so we won't be belabor the point. But not a great day. I don't think there was earnings for this either, unless they had a Sunday announcement. I have earnings. We're back here in August 7th. So, whatever happened today, down 11, almost 12%, and it's right at 48 RSI. Tough one to chart when you have these high volatile moves, but I'll look at levels, and this thing barely stays under 21-day exponential moving average for a while, and that is basically the middle line I have throughout the band here, or the red line here. I like picking this up under 45, though understand it may make you be in pain, and it may revisit $39. The low today was $43.50, so they barely picked this one up off the floor. This could very possibly go to $42 tomorrow. It doesn't look like there's a big rush to it. That being said, this is a year-over-year leader. The story has not changed. I do think this will be at new highs. It might test you, though, by early October, and I do think this will be back in the 50 handle range. Do I buy it tomorrow? No. So that's the important part. I probably wouldn't go rush out and buy it tomorrow. I probably think it actually does go just a little bit lower. I think there's a chance you get a $42 on this, and then that'll be your invitation. It might come in the next 2 weeks with a very small market pullback, or I just want to call it digestion. Okay. Top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. Oh, this is interesting. We were talking about this yesterday on Spaces. Iren, new all-time highs, the best week for any stock in the entire market. And I go with at least 10 million shares traded and at least a $20 share price. So Iren, these guys are a almost $8 billion software name, renewable energy, powered computing applications. So an amazing week. 22% on average of 4% or so a day. Today, starting to give that back, though. You can see here down 3%. It tagged all the way to 30.80, and then they closed it at 28.25. I would not chase this right here. This, to me, looks like this might have a big drop in the cards. It's still overbought. It's got a 76 RSI. It's been largely overbought since May. This thing left the station June, right around Father's Day or so, at $10, and now it's been a 3x name. So absolutely incredible. But I would not be shocked. I'm actually pretty much expecting this to be $22, I would say, in about 2-ish weeks' time. So I wouldn't just go right out and buy puts. It's more so I want to look at this chart. It looks stupendous. So I just wouldn't chase it here. I'm going to probably attack it from the long side in about 2 weeks, and then we'll see where the ranges are, maybe with like a 22, 28 call spread, or just buy the stock since it's such a crazy ATR or average true range. But a great looking stock, really, over the last 3 months, especially when that breakout happened above those prior December highs, when you start to get those close above $16, really, really nice. And the last thing on this, $21 was not the right price for this name in July, and now it looks like it is the floor as in August. So it's just growing into its valuation, if you will. But great looking stock. I do think has a material move lower. 6 into 28. That is a big move, like a 25% move. Basically, a give back of this past week. And instead of 5 days, I'm giving you about 2 weeks for it to mean revert and digest it to there. And then that'll be your invitation to get into a nice name. But Iren, the best stock this week. Congrats if you're in this one. New all-time highs for this today. The next one, no new all-time highs, but Macy's had the second best week of any stock. Today, largely, was what happened. So I don't like when this happens in the data feed, but it is the number 2 best week for any stock. This is Macy's, a $4 billion name off of a $23 billion revenue. So it's absolutely crazy. I can't believe PE hasn't just absolutely taken over all the stores like they do in most cases and flip the balance sheet and cost model. But anyway, Macy's peaked literally the day after Christmas of last year at $18 in a 1-year look back. And then it's really just, honestly, since then has been exited. With a sliding lower trinity moving average. It was sliding lower even then. I'm just going back to the prior high, and that was $18. And now, just now, is getting its first pickup, actually second, sorry, because it did it last week. Its second ever close, or rather for the past year, above the 200 moving average. It's actually overbought. People are excited about Macy's for the first time all year. The 200 moving average, what level has to hold is $13.50. I just have to see that hold. Today it went above that $16. A lot of folks, I guess, are buying at Macy's. Earnings were this morning. Great looking candle. Obviously, I mean, this thing is right back within a rock's throw of the 52-week highs. And it looks like it is basing. This is probably going to be a longer story. I don't like participating in names like this. Just in terms of like the way I play options from a swing perspective, it's probably rounding out and does get to $18 over time. But in terms of a 2-ish week time frame, I still think this might have a little bit more work to do. I'm honestly, the name has not been good. I want to see it honestly hold $13 for a week, with something that hasn't been able to do consecutively. I mean, now it's been above it since August 22nd. I wanted to really see it do it. Let's see for another couple weeks. So when you have a 200-day moving average like this, I give you a long leash. You got to really prove it to me. And the RSI trading, it's been pretty good since the end of June. Ever since it's really cleared $12, it's looked good. But overall, I personally would not chase it. Congrats if you're in the name. Macy's, the second best stock in the market over the past week. I know it looks like curve fitting because it's mostly all from today, but there you go. Overbought for the first time this year, Macy's. And the next one, not retail at all, Snowflake. It used to be a very, very popular name, and now it is again, just coming off of, is this the all-time highs for Snowflake? No, these guys had a crazy valuation back in 2020 at $429 this thing came out, but 52-week high just recently hit 250 and then got basically $249.99. Look at that. And then the computer said no more, and they sent it down to $223 today, down 1.8%, but it's had the third best stock week of all stocks, up 18%, or almost 4% a day is Snowflake. These guys are the data management cloud-based organization. $75 billion market cap now, over $4 billion revenue. So these guys do basically a quarter of what Macy's does in terms of revenue, but of course these guys have a future, whereas Macy's does not, except for spec traders on a day like today. So yeah, right here, I would not chase this. I think this hit its head right about 225. I don't like chasing it above here, and now here we are. What can I say about this? This looks like it wants to get to about 210 over the next 2 weeks. I wouldn't chase it right here. Great looking stock, though. Really looks really nice and strong since April. Was overbought from May 9th to June 30th. So basically, 7 weeks overbought, which took the stock from 178 all the way to 225. So that's absolutely incredible. They bought that up more green days than red there. It was actually green. Look at this. From May 1st to May 19th, green every day going into earnings. Tell me that people don't know nothing, huh? And then it was overbought for until June 30th. So absolutely stupendous with the 52-week highs coming just last week. Like I said, over the next 2 weeks, I would not chase it. This looks like this wants to get to about 210, and then that'll be your invitation to get on board with probably a target of getting back to 230. All right, so Snowflake, third best stock. Let's look at the losers of the week. Marvell Tech, a broken semiconductor company. We were talking about this yesterday on Spaces. I gave them a would you rather. I said, would you buy United Healthcare, a broken healthcare stock, or would you buy a broken semi, and would you take Marvell? And everyone said United Health, and I said United Health too, because you're already, rising tides lift all ships. You're in a semi space, and you're still not crushing it. No bueno. Don't like that. Relative strength breakdown here for Marvell, and they're a massive company, $55 billion. I don't like the week ahead. Yes, they kind of flushed it to the downside here. Again, these 52-week low for this name was at $47 back with the SPY low on April 7th. It's really trying to hammer out that low here, a base, if you will, at $62. I'm not so sure it holds. I think this has a nasty another 7 to 10 days. And I think 60 holds. I'm not so sure that this is the bottom. They have scooped up and gotten in at 62 each time, but I'm not so sure. And then after that, probably an ensuing rally to about 71, and then that'll give. Also, the overhead at 200-day moving average, an easy sell at $82, which is the gap from that earnings horrendous report from March. So this company just has a problem. Stay away. And why are we talking about it? Because it had the worst stock week the past 5 days, 3% a day, when a lot of these things like Macy, Snowflake, and Iren were going up. Today, continuing that average down 3.5%. Marvell, ugly week, worst one out of real names, like I said, with those parameters, at least 10 million shares traded, as well as at least a $20 share price. Second worst stock week belongs to Super Microcomputer. So I remember these guys, these were all the rage like last, in February, $66 overbought. And they got overbought again just very recently. And then right after the earnings move, down 18%, August 6th, my God. And folks don't want to get in. But look at this. Yesterday, it tags the 200-day moving average right at 39.75. And today, down 1.6. Overall, though, the week has been nasty. The Super Micro losing an average of 2% a day. And that's basically what it did today. What happens for the next 2-ish weeks or so? Still a downward bias, but I think the floor holds. I do. Oh man, I don't. This does not look good. Something. It looks like to me 38 handle is very, very possible. The 200-day moving average is still curling up. It's a high vol name. You haven't been even above 50 RSI trading from that earnings report. I've seen many, many times now earnings reports confirm the move of the charts in terms of trend here going up and then going lower. I don't really like what I'm seeing here, Supermicro. That being said, the stochastic momentum mix is at the floor. This probably holds. There is risk in the name here, though. I do like entries above. I can't really say that honestly with confidence. I don't think you're going to lose your shirt if you get in at 40, but I wouldn't expect to make a ton of money either. You probably need a beta pull up to get this to 44, and then I would get out. This looks choppy, although it has a lot of vol. There's better than this. Supermicro, second worst name in the market. And then the third worst name this week, Rocket Lab. I think you're getting an opportunity. Rocket Lab down almost 2% a day. Obviously, much of it coming from today's 12% move lower. We talked about the setup earlier when we talked about the big moves of the day lower. I think you get a little bit of a lower handle on this, and then that'll be obviously your invitation to get in. Okay, top 3 trades of the past 5 days. If you've been long Iren, long Macy's, and long Snowflake, not only do you have a wackadoo diversified portfolio, you've absolutely crushed the week. Literally one to an all-time high, one to a 6-month high, and another one to the week of its 52-week high, that being Snowflake. Okay, my favorite part of the program. Top 3 trades of the past 52 weeks. This is where we really get some alpha. These are names that are just having maybe a bad day or week. Rocket Lab is on the list. But really what we're here for is to make some real money, some real alpha. These names are your Steph Currys, your Jalen Hurts, and your Saquon Barkley's, consistent all the time, MVP. I'll just keep going to Saquon. Number 1 stock year over year with 1,188%. I said it again, 1,188%. And ironically, it's an $11 billion company that belongs to OKLO. These guys hit their highs right here in August. The price was $85. We had a pullback. And look at that, $85 that day. August 6th, we commented, I believe, on the video talking about the setup. It was that week. I seen the notes, and we got a bearish confirmation in terms of divergence where we had 67 RSI only. Said, that's probably yes, though we're trading at 85. And we closed at 83 that day. This probably visits $70 very quickly. And what happens? It got to 70 actually 6 days later. It got to 69.65, and now here we are at $72. Now it's a setup. I think it doesn't have a great 2 weeks. I would just sit back a little bit, and I would love an entry on this at about, if you could get it around $67, a 50-day exponential moving average, I say that's a gimme. It might make you pay a little bit in terms of frustration and take you down lower to, could go as low as $60. A volatile name is this. Obviously, the 200 days here at 41. Last time this was overbought, just a warning, was June 16th. So this hasn't had amazing fervor, even with the all-time highs in early August. It's not quite the same in the term, in the way it's been purchased. The flows have been a little bit mixed on this electric utility name. Though, that being said, year-over-year leader, money talks, and everything else walks. That being said, like I said, the next 2 weeks, I would just stay out. I would tell you if it's setting up like I did back then. And I do think you'll get an opportunity right about $65 to $67. Like I said, when you have that market digestion, I think this will go lower with it, and that'll be the setup. But OKLO, congrats. If you're in this from last year, literally today's September 3rd, this stock last September 9th was $6. Today's handle is $72. You can do the math. Number 2, we talked about the stock a lot today, so I'm not going to do it anymore in terms of forecast. The number 2 name year over year, and it's pretty crazy, the dispersion in terms of the returns. OKLO, 1188%. Number 2, with the same parameters I just gave you, Rocket Lab at 624. So almost half the gains. Not half, but it's pretty astonishing. Just to get put handles to that, spot prices to it. Last September, this thing was a $6 name, and we're at $43. Yes, it was $49. You just did the 12 bagger that we had on OKLO. So absolutely astonishing. Rocket Lab, I already talked about the setup for that. These names, these high momentum names, I would just step out. OKLO and Rocket Lab have a similar setup in the next 2 weeks. I think you get an opportunity to get them lower and then get in. And then the last one, the third best stock of the year, is Iren, up 484%. So these electric utilities and that tech, quantum computer names is where it's been. This is an $11 billion name. These guys peaked. This is interesting. So it's still number 3 on our list. It peaked in January at $55. Now it's really been consolidating, although in a high volatile range between 49 essentially and 36. Same exact setup. Would not chase this. This is slowing much more, but I do think it will be a coiled spring and end up going higher. I like a chart that looks like this with a 200-day moving average. And again, it is straddling the 50 RSI since April, but I think these guys will be fine. Wouldn't chase it, though, for the next 2 weeks. I do think you get an invitation at more than likely right around 37. I think this frustrates folks. The quantum names, I would not be shocked if they frustrate folks in the next 2 weeks. I'm seeing a lot of same setups in the charts. Okay, tomorrow we may do a ETF, a weekly wrap-up, because it's Eagles-Cowboys. We're getting the banner. And yes, I'm going to have Eagles gear on. Go Birds, EAGLES, Eagles. We'll see you tomorrow. Maybe, probably. Maybe with a drink. Bye.